Hey everybody, it's Dr. Mike. Let's take a look at Chapter 13, Employee Involvement. So let's see what we have. Learning objectives, there they are. You can have a look. So we'll look at these principles and also three of these employee involvement interventions, how to get the employees involved. So what is it? What we're trying to do with employee involvement is involve the employees. But it's not as easy as it seems because often the employees don't have the information, the knowledge, and the training, all that type of thing, the experience to get involved with decisions. And you'll see that that can be an issue, but it also can be something that can be dealt with. So, employee involvement bullet 2, the broad term for diverse approaches. So, a number of approaches to get participation in the workplace. And this is what people need. I mean, if you think about yourself as an employee, and if you're in the military, it's a little bit more challenging, but as you move up in rank, you get more employee involvement. If you want to think of it that way, you get more power, you get more information, you have more knowledge and skill, and the rewards go up. And the same thing would occur in a non-military, like a corporate setting. Real easy to say, okay, to a new hire at a restaurant, okay, you're the one who's responsible for the customers being satisfied, but they have no power to make any decisions. They don't get any information. They don't have the skill to do what they want. They don't get paid for doing so. Doesn't work, and we certainly wouldn't call that employee involvement. So in this picture, this graphic depiction, we see what employee involvement constitutes, what it leads to, if you will. Let's just assuming that employee involvement, the intervention that you facilitate as an OD person, let's say it works. Then how would that affect things? Well, if employee involvement worked as designed, you would see those middle three oblongs: improved communication, coordination, improved motivation, improved capabilities, which would lead, of course, to improved productivity. Here's some of the secondary effects of employee involvement on productivity. So you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, employee involvement intervention. That's what you deliver as the OD person. And on the right side, it improves productivity. On the top, it says, well, it also improves employee well-being and satisfaction. In other words, not only are people who are involved productive, they feel better. I mean, it's fun, it's good, and it's important. They have a voice. They're seen. They're recognized. What they have to say matters to others all the way to the top. Which then, in this area right here, this attraction and retention, they stick around because they like it and they're more productive. And that's how the whole thing works. I mean, it's in the older designed organizations with a lot of power and money and responsibility and authority only at the top. It's very difficult for those new hires to come into an organization, let's say a baggage handler for American Airlines. Well, yeah, what are you going to have a voice with the CEO? No, but certain organizations, and I'm thinking of probably organizations more like Google and Apple and some of the high tech firms where, yeah, the productivity comes from the people who are often new to the organization and who have a voice. And so it all has to do with how the organization is structured. And speaking of structure, here are the three employee interventions, involvement interventions, right here: parallel structures, high involvement, and total quality management. The reason all these are low, this is low to moderate to low, is that a parallel structure is something that involves employees, but pretty much in the place that they're in for a short period of time. For example, let's say you're going to develop a new product line. So you get some employees together, and over a period of time, maybe 4 or 5 months, I'll just make that up, they work together off and away from their normal jobs. That's why it's parallel to their normal jobs. It's a different structure. They might be on a new product involvement or new product development team or something for a period of time. And the information they get's more than what they would get if they weren't on the team, but it's not as much as they would get in other applications. And they do develop their knowledge and skill a little bit. And in a parallel structure, they don't get paid anything extra. They're just a part of this new product development team. It's kind of part of their job. as opposed to high involvement organizations where you can see power, information, knowledge, skill, and rewards are all high. So you have to reorganize, if you will, and restructure at least some of the organizations so that the employees involved have the power that they need to make the decisions and the authority that they need to see them through. They get the information they need to make decisions, and they have the knowledge and the skill and the rewards to do so. So now you're seeing employees coming together and they're collaborating and they're saying, you know, instead of what's a new product, they might come together and say, what's a new strategy? What's the new direction for this company? Where do we see it going in the next 3 to 5 years? And they become very, very much involved and have a highly developed voice that is listened to all the way to the top. And down at the bottom, we see total quality management, not unlike Six Sigma or ISO 9000, if you're familiar with those terms. But these are ways that employees get involved and they do have the power and information that they need, as well as the knowledge and the skill and the rewards. For example, what we call a lean approach to manufacturing would be a group of people come together and they have the power and the information they need to revisit a manufacturing process or an administrative process or a training process. In lean manufacturing or lean processes, we're trying to lean out, which means we're trying to rid as much waste of time or material as we possibly can as we create or deliver service, create a product or deliver a service. And of course, total quality management was brought to this country actually by W. Edwards Deming. We'll see his work in a second, who went over to Japan and came back and said, hey, you know, here's how the Japanese are doing it. And he went over to teach them, but he came back having learned a lot himself. And TQM is just about that. It's about increasing the quality of the products and the goods that go out to keep the customers happy. I mean, if I don't know how many iPhones are manufactured before one of them doesn't work, but if you could imagine what would happen to Apple if 2 out of every iPhones manufactured failed after 2 hours. Telephone call. So, you know, that can become a bit of a problem. So TQM and Six Sigma and these kinds of quality improvement programs are designed for just that. If you're going to do a parallel structure, this is how it's applied. These are the steps that you would go through. As the OD person, you would be taking the client through these steps. First, define the parallel structure's purpose and scope. So why are you here? Okay, then we're here to help determine the next product that we need in our child toys division. I'll make that up. Form a steering committee. Okay, so a steering committee means those people who are going to work with and up the ladder, with the team and up the ladder to a higher organization. Communicate with the organization members. Hey, everybody, we've got this steering committee, this group. They're going to help determine what our next line of toys should be in our children's division. Form employee problem-solving groups. So we've got people that come in. We bring in people from manufacturing. We bring people from research and development and sales and marketing. We all put our heads together based on what we know and say, well, what should be the next new toy? Or what should be the next new version of an iPhone? Or what should be the next new version of an iPad? I got an idea. Let's make it smaller. Oh, yeah, that's a great idea. We'll make it smaller. Address the problems and issues. Well, it isn't easy to make a new toy or to make the iPad smaller or to come up with something that's competing with the very next product. So not always easy. And then finally, implement and evaluate the changes. Well, it's easy to say, isn't it? Implement and evaluate, but that's not always easier. It's easier said than done, and that takes us back to the whole idea of change management. I mentioned Deming a minute ago. I'm not going to go through each of these, but these are his 14 points, very famous if you haven't seen them already. And this is what is probably one of the things he's best known for, is that if you want to develop a high-quality program, then pay attention to these 14 points. Now, what's really interesting, notice this, he says drive out fear, and I don't think maybe we've had this by now. No, I think it's coming our way. But one of the things that Peter Block says is driving out fear is not the way to go. That he actually likes fear in the workplace. So more on that when we get to Peter Block's comments. But you can take a look at these. You can pause this, take a look, or come back. And then Deming also have his seven deadly sins. I mean, if you want to get in trouble in an organization, then these will certainly drag down the organization. And of course, there's many, many more. But these are probably some of the most famous, having been developed back in the 50s and 60s. So if you're going to implement a total quality management program, these are the stages you would go through gaining long-term senior management commitment. And this is not an easy thing to do. It's not unusual if you're an OD consultant to go in and talk to top management who says, yeah, rah, rah, yay, go do this program, let me know how it goes, when they don't want to have anything to do with it. They don't promote it, they don't talk about it, they don't get out and get in and get their hands dirty. They just say, you go fix it and come back. When that happens, that's signal to either have a good talk with them about changing their attitude, or if they won't change their attitude, it's time to walk out the door. Train members in quality methods. That can take a while, but that's obviously important. Start the improvement project, measure the progress, and reward the accomplishment. And Jack Welch is one of the better known CEOs from General Electric years ago who implemented a form of quality management called Six Sigma, which improved the quality of the products and services from General Electric at the time in a very big way. And in a heartbeat, he did much of what you see here, especially rewarding accomplishment. What he did was real simple. The top 85% of the performers, these would be managers and higher, kept their jobs every year. The bottom 15 were let go. 15% were let go. And they knew that from the onset. He also provided very generous rewards if they met or exceeded their quality related kinds of goals and so on. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, read about the work of Jack Welch at General Electric. Very, very important contribution to the OD literature. And finally, high involvement organizations, flat, lean organizational structures. This is what it takes. Flat means, not so many layers. A layer would be, well, at the top there's a CEO, and then beneath that are the senior vice presidents, and beneath that are the vice presidents, and then beneath that is the senior directors, and beneath that are the directors, and beneath that are the senior level managers, and beneath those are the new level managers, and then 3 levels of supervisors, and so on, so that you've got somebody who reports to somebody who reports to somebody who reports. In a flat, lean organization, you might have 2 or 3 layers. There's the senior staff, and then there's the middle layer, and then there's the worker bees. It really depends. I mean, you can see how many organizations are structured, but lean and flat means just that. They're not tall structures with lots and lots of layers. Enriched work designs means that the work that people do, they enjoy, and it just the enjoyment of doing the work itself comes to mind as if you think of a musician who loves to play and's been playing his or her life and just wouldn't do anything else because playing of music is all they need to earn a living and enjoy life. That's what we would call enriched work, as opposed to somebody who's, flipping hamburgers at McDonald's and hates it. Open information systems means that information flows throughout the organization. Sophisticated selection and career systems means that you can find something that you want. It's sophisticated enough that it gives you what you want, it pays well, and you see a future for yourself in the place. Training programs, probably pretty straightforward. You've got to train the people to be highly involved, as I mentioned earlier. Same thing with the reward systems. And then participatively designed personnel practices. So you're building an HR program and personnel practices that cause employees to be involved. And then a physical layout where people actually have easy access to one another. So there's some things about high involvement organizations. This is how you would go about applying it. Of course, this is very high level, but for an OD person, you'd help them develop this very explicit statement of the values that they held. In other words, this is what we are all about. If you go into Google, or if you go into Apple, or some of them, I keep using them because they're so well known, organizations, you're probably pretty clear what they're all about. If you walk into Neiman Marcus and get a feel for how those employees work and act and how they approach you and the quality of the materials and the goods that they sell, and then walk out of there and go into even a Walmart, as well run as they are, It's a completely different feel, different culture, different statement of values between even those two stores. Bullet 2 implementation process is participative. So that, in other words, as you roll this out, you as the OD person are probably facilitating and guiding and educating, but the managers and employees are taking the active role. So it's not you come in and tell them what to do, you guide them through as a facilitator that's facilitating this process for them, and they do it. That's a very, very high, a couple of short paragraphs on high involvement, but that kind of a deployment of that kind of an intervention is actually huge. So there we go. So that's whatever chapter that was, chapter 10. And hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I'll see you in chapter 11. Take care.